Hello, Loony Loomers, Joyce here. Welcome back for another one of my Loony tutorials. My fifth one already, and today we're going to make a bracelet with only our hook and some bands. And this design was created about 8 years ago by Loomer Guy, and he told me that the long story that gave this bracelet its name is lost in time forever. But I'll put a link in it to his Instagram down in the description box so you can see more of his creations. And a reminder, should you have also made your own design and you want to do me the honor of allowing me to make a tutorial for you, please feel free to contact me here or on Instagram. Send me some pictures if you can and we'll see what I can do for you. Now stay tuned until the end of this video because I will tell you how you can post your creations and which hashtags to use and all, so both me and Loomer Guy don't miss out on your creations. Now this is a very beginner-friendly hook-only design, but it does have a little curly, quirky band in it there, so that can be challenging for beginners, but I will go slow and steady so you can definitely just follow along. And please remember, you can always pause the video to catch up, rewind it to watch something again, and of course you can always speed up if I'm going too slow for you. I will always put timestamps in my tutorials, so you can find certain parts really quickly by clicking the timestamps in the description box below. Okay, enough yakety-yak, let's grab some stuff and let's get looming. To make this bracelet, of course you will need your hook. Now any hook will do. I will be using my double-ended hook for this, but you can definitely use your regular loom hook as well. I will be showing you how to use that. And you will need a C-clip for closing purposes, and I'll be keeping my cap band in check with this little dude over here, of course. I will be using 5 colors for this bracelet in the same color scheme as this one over here. I really love these neon colors and you can see what I'm doing really well with those. But I will be laying out the pattern of the bands we're going to be using for you, so you can match that pattern up with the colors that you want to use in your bracelet. Okay? Now, if this is too bright for you, please feel free to put on your sunglasses right now. I promise I won't laugh. Okay? Here we go! The first thing we're going to have to do is put a cap band on our hook, and I always grab the color of that connector band you see in between the sections here. You can choose whatever color you want to, of course. And to make the cap band, we simply place the band onto our hook. We give it a twist and we put the other end on our hook, creating that figure 8. That is the cap band. And as you know by now, I always keep mine in check with my little stitch marker, so I'm putting that on right now. And as I promised, I will be laying out a pattern for you, so you can match that up to the colors that you want to use. Now, the first color, as I said, is that connector band that we're going to be pulling through. So that is white for me. And then we have our 2 single bands that we're going to pull through both ends of that connector band. So for me, that's pink. Then we have that green middle connector band right here, holding the bands together. Then we have our curly bits, the bands that we're going to be curling on the outsides here. So that's neon purple for me. And last we're going to be pulling through 2 single bands, and for me that is yellow. And then we are back at our connector band again, so at the top. Okay? I will be placing 2 thumbnails for you at the top of the screen so you can keep an eye on the pattern, and also one of a close-up of one of the sections, so you can keep an eye on that as well. Now we already have our cap band on our hook, and as we see in the pattern out there, the next band we need to add is that first connector band. And to do so, we simply pull that band through both loops of our cap band. We do not pick anything back up, we simply close it off. So you put the other end of that connector band on your hook, like that. Now this design is symmetrical. As you can see in the pattern, what we do on the left side, we also do on the right. Except for those 2 bands in the middle. So this connector band at the top and that connector band in the middle, green for me, that you see in the picture, that holds the bands together in the middle. So the next step is adding 1 band on either side of that connector band. That's pink for me. And to add it, we simply pull the band through the first loop of that connector band. we let that band slide off our hook and we connect the other side of the band we just pulled through, like so. And now we have to do the same thing on the other side. Now, if you do not have a double-ended hook, that means that you're going to grab these 3 bands, pinch them, hold on tight, gently take your hook out of the loops and put it in on the other side. Carefully make sure you have all 3 hooks and turn it around so we can add one on the other side. Now, if you have a double-ended hook, you simply slide your whole bracelet, it's only a small piece now, to the other side, and then you can work on the other side. Okay, so we do the same thing. We pull the band under that first loop on our hook, let that loop slide off and close it up, like so. So now that next connector band will have to be added, and we're going to add that one to the middle 2 loops on our hook, so the second and third. And we want that band to sit in the middle. Now we are going to pull it under the first 3 loops of our hook. Let those loops slide off your hook. And we are going to leave these 2 hanging there. And we're only picking up that first one furthest away from your hook. And then we close off the band we just pulled through. And we want that band to sit in the middle, so we're going to have to move this one over that band. And there we have it. Now it's sitting in the middle. Okay, now as we look at our pattern again, now we're going to start making that curl. So for me, that means pulling through a purple band. And we're simply going to pull it through that first loop on our hook and close it off. So you go under that first loop and we close it off. So we added it on this side. And now you have to grab on to whatever you have hanging on your hook right now and hold on tight, because we're going to cross some bands over. And we're going to cross the second band over the third. So you grab it with your fingers, pull it up a little bit, pull it over the third, not the fourth as well, only the third. And you hang on tight, hold on to that band. Let me move it a bit to the point, there we go. So you have crossed it over. And now we are going to add our last band on this side. And that is yellow for me, and we're going to add that one on the 2 last loops on our hook. So we are going to pull it under those 2 loops, hang on to that band we just crossed over so it doesn't come uncrossed I mean. We let these other 2 bands slide off our hook and we close it off. Okay, so now we added our last band of that pattern on this side. And now we're going to do the crossing over again. Same thing, hang on to your bracelet so far, and we're going to cross the second one over the third. Grab a hold of that one, so we have a little cross there again. And now we are going to make the actual curl. And to do so, we grab that middle band we have here, the back side of the one we are curling, and we grab it, pull it over the first band on our hook and drop it over our hook and just let it fall. And then you've made it curl on this side. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing on the other side, adding the last 2 bands of the pattern. So the first one we added was that purple one, in my case, the one we're going to be curling, and we added simply on the first band on our hook. So you pull it under that first loop, let that loop fall off your hook, put the other end of that band we're curling back on your hook. And now we're going to do that crossing over again, always the second one over the third. Hang on with your fingers. That little cross there. The last band of your pattern we're pulling through now under those 2 loops. Let those loops fall off your hook. Attach the other side of the band we just pulled through. There we go. We do that crossing over bit again, always second one over the third band, creating that cross, our second cross. And now we're going to curl that band, so we pull it up a little bit, over the first band on your hook and over the point of the hook and just drop it off. And there you go, there you have the curls made, and that's the end of the pattern already. So now we're back at the top, as you can see in the pattern at the top here. So we now have to pull through our connector band. So we do that. We can start the whole sequence again. Pull through your connector band. See? That's one section of the pattern done. So we already have that first band of the pattern on our hook. That's that connector band. And what we're going to do next is add those 2 single bands to either loop of that connector band. Now I'll show you a way you can do it without turning your hook around, so without sliding and turning or pinching and turning. But it's totally up to you, of course. You just do whatever way you feel is easiest for you. Now we're going to add our first band, not on the first loop, but on the loop that's farthest away from the tip of our hook, so on this one. And to do so, we simply slide that band we're adding under both loops on our hook, pull it through both loops, let both of them fall off. We're not picking up this first loop here, but we are picking up the one farthest away from our hook. So that first loop of that connector band. Then we put the band we just pulled through on our hook as well. And we want that band to sit on this side here. So we have to rearrange these 2 bands to make sure that that pink band in my case is on the right side. So we pull the band, the connector band over that loop. And now we have added it on the right side of our connector band. So now we add it on the left side and we don't have to turn our hook around for it. So we can simply pull the next band under that first loop of that connector band, let that connector band slide off and close it up. And now we have added 2 bands without turning our hook around. I'm sure you can do it as well. It's easy, an easy trick without having to slide, especially if you're using your regular loom hook. Okay, so now we're back to the pattern. We have to add that middle connector band. So that's green in my case. And we're going to add that to the middle 2 bands on our hook. So the second and third. To do that, what we did, we pulled it under the first 3 loops on our hook. Let all 3 fall off our hook. We let the 2 middle ones hanging there and we pick up the first loop. So the first loop farthest away from our hook. And we close up that band we just pulled through, put the other end on your hook. Now that band is not sitting in the middle, so we have to rearrange it and make sure that it's in the middle. There we go. And now we're ready to start our curls again. So the first band we're going to pull through is that band we're going to be curling later. And what we do, we add it on the first loop of our hook. So you pull it through that loop, let that loop fall off, put the other end of the curly band on your hook and we've added it. And now we're going to be crossing over the bands again. So hang on to your pattern, grab hold of that second band, always pull the second band over the third band, making that cross. Okay, hang on to that side of the band you just crossed over and we add our last band of the pattern to our hook. And we add that one to the last 2 loops on our hook. First 2 loops, I mean. So you pull it under those 2 loops, let those loops fall off your hook, attach the other side to your hook, and you've added it there. And now we're going to do that crossing over again. Again, second one over the third, always do that. Second one over the third, and we have a cross again. And now we're going to drop that other end of our curly band over the hook and over that first band. So you pull on it a little bit and drop it over the edge. And you made that curl. And now we do the same thing on the other side. So you pinch and turn or you slide and turn depending on your hook. And now we can add our last 2 bands on this side. So again, that first one we add to that first loop on our hook, pull it under, let that first loop fall off, close it up. Make your first cross, so second over third. There's the cross. Hang on to that side with your finger and add your next band onto the first 2 loops of your hook. First 2 loops, let those loops slide off. and you close up that band, and we're going to do the crossing again. So you do that twice on either side. Always pull the second one over the third. And now we're going to drop the curly band over the edge again. So pull it up a little bit to create some room. You pull it over that first band that's still on your hook and over the tip of your hook and drop it off. And there we have it. Oops, ooh, don't lose it. Another section done. See? I will put a timestamp in the video right here, so you can follow along from here if you need more help with your pattern. So we can do it together, or you just, if you got it from here, you just go on to the end of the video where we close it up, and yeah, that's pretty much it, okay? So we're back to the beginning of the pattern again. I will be going a little bit faster this time, but remember that you can always pause to catch up or rewind, and you can always go back to the timestamp that says pattern repeat to follow along from here. I will do a few more sections with you. Now to start the section, the first band we pull through is that connector band, and we pull it under all 4 loops on our hook, connect it on the other side, there we go. And now we're going to add those 2 bands on either side of the connector band again. I will be doing it without turning my hook around, so the first band I pull through will go on the right loop, so I'll put it under both loops on my hook, leave this band hanging here and pick up the first one. Close up the band we just pulled through. Now we want that band to sit on this side, so we have to rearrange these 2 bands. So pull the connector band over that band we just added. There we go. Now we add the band on the other side of the connector band, so you only have to pull it under the first loop and close it up. And there you have it. Now the next step is that middle connector band again, so that's green in my case. And we want it to hang on the middle 2 bands. So we pull that band under the first 3 loops on our hook. We leave the middle 2 hanging there and we pick up that first loop, close it up. Now we have to rearrange it again because we want that connector band to sit in the middle, like so. Now we're ready to add our curly band again, the one we're dropping over the edge later. He just doesn't know it yet. So we're going to add that to the first loop on our hook. Let that loop fall off, close it up. Now we're doing our first cross, so second band over the third. Hang on to the end of that band with your finger. Add the last band of the pattern on the first 2 loops of your hook. Close it up. And then you're ready to make your second cross on this side. So pull that second band over the third again. And drop over this poor fella here. So over that first band and over the tip of your hook. Okay, now we turn it around and we do the same thing on the other side. So first the curly band. We add it on the first loop on our hook. Start your first cross, so the second band over the third band. Hang on to it. Add your last band of the pattern to the first 2 loops of your hook. There you go. Make your second cross, second over third, and drag the poor fella over again. Okay, so we're ready to start the next section. So that single band, that connector band again, under 4 loops of your hook, on your hook I mean, and we add our 2 single bands. So this one I will be adding on the far side, pull it through 2 loops, pick up the first loop, close it up, rearrange these 2, add the one for the other side, so you only have to pull it under the first loop, close it up, there we go. Now that middle connector band that goes on the second and third band, so you pull it under the first 3 loops on your hook, Leave the middle two hanging there, pick up the first one, close it up. We want it to sit in the middle, so we rearrange, take off some extra fluff my cats have added. And now we're ready to put the curly band on again. So we add that to the first loop on our hook, pull it under the first loop, close it off, your first cross on this side, second one over the third, hang on, your last band of the pattern, pull it under the first two loops on your hook. Now we make the second cross, so second band over third again, and drag the poor fella over the edge. And there we go. Turn everything around, add our curly band on the first loop. There we go. Make your first cross, second over third, hang on. We pull our last band under the first two loops on our hook. Oh, we didn't want to go. There we go. Make your second cross on this side, so your second band over the third. And drag the poor fellow over again. There we go. There you have it. Now, once your bracelet is long enough, you can just pull your first band of the pattern and the last band of the bracelet then through the 4 loops on your hook and put your cap band right here to close it up. Well, that was it for today, Loony Loomers. I hope you all had fun making this gorgeous Gearhead hook-only bracelet by Loomer Guy. And remember, when you have made this bracelet and you post it on social media, please don't forget to tag me and him in the pictures and use the hashtags you see on your screen now, so we don't miss out on seeing them. And please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel with the button right here. And come find me on Instagram too for more of my content and creations. And I will always post some previews there and new designs, so come find me there too. The link is in the description box down below. If you have any questions or comments, always feel free to message me here or on Instagram. And again, should you have made a design you want me to make a tutorial for, please contact me for that too. Send me some pictures if you can and we'll see if I can make that happen. Stay tuned, turn on your notifications so you don't miss anything. Stay colorful, stay creative, and most of all, stay loony. That's all, folks.